Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another Tinkerer's Cube Draft and we have a bonkers pack 1 here. We've got Jugan Defends the Temple, one of the strongest cards in the cube, one of the best just like 3 mana enchantments that does a lot of work. Get a 1/1 monk that taps for a green mana, then get a counter on 2 of your creatures, then get a 2/2 flyer that allows you to dump X mana into every creature you play and put X counters on that creature. So Jugan Defends the Temple is just an absurdly strong card in the first place. Havoc Jester is really good in sacrifice decks, letting you use all of your sacrifice triggers to start doing damage to any target, use them as miniature removal or burn or whatever you need. Honden of Infinite Rage is one of the strongest shrines, being able to do 1 damage to any target or just a damage equal to the number of shrines you control. So if you have a few of them, this card gets insane. There's Halvar, God of Battle. Sword of the Realms is the more exciting card on this dual-face card. It's a 2-mana equipment that gives +2/+0 vigilance, and whenever a equipped creature dies, return it to your hand. Really annoying to play against, a huge amount of value, but I think I'm going to roll with Jugan Defends the Temple here. Pick 1, pack 1. Moving to pick 2, we do have Calyx Destiny's Hand, great for an Enchantress deck. Allows us to draw an enchantment out of the top 4 every turn, and it lets us turn any of our enchantments into an Oblivion Ring off the -3. So maybe take Calyx here, go for a green-white enchantments deck. That could be a pretty powerful deck for sure. There's also Cheap Red Burn with Welding Sparks. This is pretty good by this cube's standards. There's just not a lot of removal, so that's pretty nice. Same with Bake Into a Pie. Nice removal spell there. Lazotep Chancellor and Thundering Djinn are pretty powerful build-arounds for the decks that have a lot of looting, a lot of draw discard effects. And what else? Thraben Inspector's a fine card, fun to blink. Otawara's fine, and these big blue artifact synergy cards are decent too.
Child of the Stars.
But we're going to look towards an Enchantress deck here, and it's going to be a pretty easy Touch the Spirit Realm, although I guess theoretically Noriko Yamazaki does let us recast enchantment cards from our graveyard whenever a Samurai Warrior attacks alone, but we have to be able to be attacking in with the 3/2 Vigilance for that to work out. I just don't see that happening too often. The board states can get really cluttered really quickly. I feel like Noriko Yamazaki is just going to die a lot. Touch the Spirit Realm is just definitely good, even without any synergy. This is just an Oblivion Ring, 3 mana removal to exile something until they blow up to Touch the Spirit Realm. That being said, the one concern with cards like Touch the Spirit Realm is that naturalize effects that'll destroy a creature, or not a creature, effects that'll destroy an artifact or enchantment are pretty playable in this cube, so you're going to see them main decked a little more often than you would in other cubes, to where this might not be permanent removal, but hopefully it'll be removal for long enough. Unfortunately, here in pick 4, there's absolutely nothing to go with our green-white Enchantress deck, so we have to just take something off color. This pack's pretty weak overall, although Falconwrath Noble's great for sacrifice decks. I guess we could just take Jewel-Eyed Cobra and stick to green here. Just a 3 mana 3/1 Death Touch gives us a treasure when it dies. It's kind of an awkward card, really weird one, but I guess it's on color. I don't know here, this pack's not super hot. Yeah, I'll just take what I consider to be the best card. We'll take Falconwrath Noble there. Pick 5 now. No Enchantress cards again. We see a Glorious Enforcer and a Dancing Sword in white, though. Neither of those, again, work all that well with what we're doing here. I might want to just take Fellstinger because it works well with Falconwrath Noble in that kind of sacrifice deck. It's one of the better cards in this pack. Blue cards are pretty solid, like Wizard Class. Shipwreck Dowser are great value plays, but I think I'll go Fellstinger. Setting our backup plan to green-white enchantments being looking like a Rakdos sacrifice or something here. And it's looking like we're getting pushed in that direction. Again, not much for green-white enchantments. Honden of Cleansing Fire, though, is an option, because if we're taking a lot of enchantments, then we can start taking shrines. Parallel Lives, though, isn't going to do much. I might just like Unlicensed Disintegration, start pushing to Rakdos here. Rakdos aggressive sacrifice deck just seems more open than green and white. Not seeing a lot of green-white packs in the recent picks. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy to take Disintegration here and head in that direction. Oh yeah, because now we have Makeshift Munitions and Mask of Immolation. I think I prefer Mask of Immolation. It works similarly to Makeshift Munitions, in that it lets us sack our creatures to do damage. It doesn't let us sack our artifacts to do damage, but this is an artifact itself, so it's going to help trigger Unlicensed Disintegration. It's also a creature itself, so it's a 2 mana 1/1 that sacks itself. worst case scenario. I think it's just a little more flexible, even if makeshift munitions is a little more powerful. So I like the mask here, I think. Fabled Passage is quite good, though, for any deck that needs mana fixing. But I'm going to go Mask of Immolation. Alright, I like Dreadhound here. Nice top end for the sacrifice decks, because whenever you're sacrificing a creature, each opponent is losing a life. Also, when you're self-milling, you're dealing some damage to them, and we're not going to have creatures big enough to trigger Furious Rise. You need power 4 creatures for that. Could be Jund, could be Mardu here. Probably not playing Calyx, but it's possible we get to play Touch the Spirit Realm still, or Jugan Defends the Temple still. Alright, pick 9 now. Haunted of Infinite Rage is still in there, but so is Havoc Jester. Could take Haunted of Infinite Rage and start theoretically pushing into the 4 or 5 color Shrines deck here, but we're already at a really great start to just Rakdos Sacrifice, and Havoc Jester's a sweet 5-drop for that deck. You know, I'm not going to make any fun picks today. I'm going to just really try to win this one after all these 2-3s and 3-3s and stuff. I'm looking for a win, so we're going to just draft the great cards, the best cards rather than the funnest cards. We're just going in on the Rakdos Sacrifice deck. Wow, this is a late Merfolk Looter. There's a lot of cards to synergize well with. I didn't even notice this the first time around. But Seize the Storm and Pitiless Plunder aren't going to be that good in our deck. Pitiless Plunder would be fine, I guess. Maybe we're supposed to take Merfolk Looter, because that is late. But I'll go Pitiless Plunderer here. This is about the only deck that maybe Pitiless Plunderer can do work in. Alright, oof. Wandering Emperor. Probably like the best card in this cube, to be honest. That card's insane. But we're Rakdos Sack, and Oni Cult Anvil is going to be one of the best engines for this deck. Once we've sacrificed one artifact to make a construct token, we can keep looping that construct token. Sacrifice to get another one and drain our opponent for some life. Really good with Falconwrath Noble and Blood Artist style effects. Havoc Jester style effects. Oni Cult Anvil is just the sickest for this deck, so I think we have to roll with this. We do have Touch the Spirit Realm, though. If we want to grab the Wandering Emperor and move to Boros or Orzhov, that's a possibility. Might even be better, because Wandering Emperor is just leagues above almost every other card in this cube. It's just so powerful. I think we're kind of deep into Rakdos, though. I think that's just where we're heading here. Herald of Anguish is solid, because we can improvise it out for cheaper with enough treasure tokens. We're already kind of looking to take treasure tokens highly. It's about the only thing for us here. It's that our Warlock class. Doesn't seem that wild. Another nice top end card here seems nice. Seems good. Good way to sack treasure tokens and blood tokens and all that. Alright, Seasoned Pyromancer looks pretty beautiful here, but so does Magda. Magda gives us those early game treasure tokens. Force 1 Paladin does as well, but Magda does it a little easier. So I think I like Magda better than Paladin, but then there's Seasoned Pyromancer. Which is also a sick card. I think I want to go Magda here. I want to make sure I have a lot of 2-drop stuff so we can just get jamming out and get aggressive in the early game. We've got a lot at 3 mana already. I guess we only have 3. I feel we're more missing on the 2-drop front. I'm going to take Magda. Fireblade Charger's pretty nice. Gold Vein pick would be okay, because we can sacrifice those treasure tokens for some value. Discerning Taste and Spikefield Hazard aren't super exciting, though. Go Fireblade Charger. I think that'll be the best card here. Revel in Riches is really cute, but it's not actually good. It's going to be really hard to get the 10 treasures out. And just getting treasures when your opponent's creatures die is not worth 5 mana. So we just go Igneous Inspiration here. 3 mana for 3 damage to any target's already worth it by this cube's standards. Don't even need to learn a valuable lesson with that card for it to be good. Fast and Furious is fine. If we need a Wrath effect, we can use it as that, and otherwise it's just kind of a medium draw spell. But a medium draw spell with the flexibility of being a Wrath is nice. Alright, what do we have now? Young Pyromancer seems nasty. We've got 3 instants, 2 sorceries already. Undead Butler would be fine, but I think Pyromancer seems like the sick nasty. Just give us an army of 1/1s to sack and do stuff with. I like Thriving Bluff here. Blood Aspirant's one of the weakest ways to sacrifice stuff, in my opinion. It does keep getting bigger, theoretically, though. But 1 damage for 2 mana and tap this thing? Not a big fan of it. I honestly think I would just rather take the mana fixing there than that. Alright, Dragon Fodder for some Sacrificial Fodder or Blood Fountain, which gives us a blood token we can sacrifice and some Graveyard Recursion. If they kill some of our cards that really matter, like Falconwrath Noble and stuff. I don't actually know here. I think I'm going to go Blood Fountain. It's also nice that it's 2 artifacts out for 1 mana to help improvise Herald of Anguish and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. Alright, we can play the Warlock class now. We're not going to have any modified creatures, so Emberkeeper's just useless, but kind of so is Gravebreaker, Lamia. We're probably cutting that. Don't think I'm playing Discerning Taste. Maybe we'll play the Pick, because it gives us treasure tokens. And a bunch of useless nonsense at the end of the pack as we head into pack 3. Now we have a Blood Crypt, Precipitous Drop. I don't love Arguel's Bloodfast. Mire Triton doesn't do much in here, and Foulmire Knight doesn't do much in here. So Precipitous Drop or Blood Crypt mainly? How are we doing on removal? Not well. We have Welding Sparks, Igneous Inspiration, Unlicensed Disintegration, and then Fast Furious. I guess that's okay. 3 removal and 1 potential Wrath. This is 2 mana for -2/-2 and scry 1. Because there's no way we get enough Venture in the Dungeon to complete 1. That seems really below rate. Let's just take the Blood Crypt here, I think. Alright, now we've got Horde Robber, which potentially gives us some more treasure tokens. I guess we have Environmental Sciences if we really want to pick up a lesson off Igneous Inspiration. Witch of the Moors is a cool card, but we don't have any life gain in here. Yeah, don't really want to use the Goblins or Dispute. I'll just take a Horde Robber. Alright, here I think I'm going to take another great removal spell, the Bone Shards here. Good removal for a sack deck, because we're already looking to sack our stuff. And if we don't have anything to sacrifice, we can just discard a card to destroy any target. It's only 1 mana, so I like Bone Shards in here. Alright, what do we have here? Pack 3, pick 4. Kalain looks pretty perfect to me. We can definitely utilize treasure tokens, and she'll even put a counter on our next creature we cast with 1. Yep. Kalain seems pretty perfect. Happy to see that there in that pack. Pick 5 now. We don't have enough blood tokens to really do the Dying to Serve thing, although it is fun. So I think we just take a Forgotten Cave, probably. Guess we could take a Ceremonial Knife to get more blood. But we only have 12 creatures. Don't really want to run more equipment if I don't have a really high creature count. So I'll just grab that Forgotten Cave here, be pretty happy with it. Be very happy with a Skullport Merchant. Really great sacrifice outlet, letting us draw cards off of sacrificing treasures or creatures, but we have great aggressive creatures here too, Battlecry Goblin and Grim Dancer both being super good, but I think I'd go for the Merchant here. Alright, easy Barrenmore. Maze Mind Tome's fine too. Nice little card draw engine, but I'll take the Barrenmore. Land so we can just cycle through if we're flooded. Wow, Siege Gang Commander here. Pack 3, pick 8, love that. 5 mana for 3 1/1 goblins and a Siege Gang Commander. We can sack a goblin for 2 to do 2 to any target. Excellent card. Now, I still don't think I want Precipitous Drop, honestly. But do I want Arguel's Bloodfast? Not really. Just take the Precipitous Drop. Consider that if we want a lot of removal. Alright, well, we've got an Environmental Sciences for our Igneous Inspiration if we want it, and now we've got Introduction to Prophecy as well, so I guess Igneous Inspiration will be learning for something. Alright, let's build this deck. We've got 26 cards and 4 non-land cards, so we only need to cut like 3 cards. See what we want to do here. I feel like even in Rakdos Sack, Pitiless Plunder is just super weird. Just whenever another creature you control dies, you get 1 treasure token. Just really doesn't seem like it's going to do all that much or be all that worth it. Fast and Furious is going to blow up all our own stuff, so I'm not super interested in that. It's a possibility. Gravebreaker Lamia doesn't do anything in our deck. We don't have any flashback or anything like that, so it's just a 5-mana 4/4 lifelink. So we're probably cutting that. See, at 3 mana, definitely like Felstinger and Skullport Merchant. We definitely need to cut more non-creatures over creatures first, though. We only have 14 creatures, and we're already looking to cut 2 of them. So what do we have? Igneous Inspiration, Welding Sparks, Pair of Goblins. Seems a little weaker than those. Definitely weaker than Unlicensed Disintegration. We've got Gold Vein Pick, Onicult Anvil, Mask of Immolation, Precipitous Drop. Precipitous Drop and Gold Vein Pick seem the weakest. Gold Vein Pick seeming weak because of our low creature count. If you ever have an equipment that just gets stranded because you don't have a creature on board, that's always a really, really bad time. Blood Fountain, Bone Shards, and Warlock class all seem fine. Okay, so we cut 3 cards here. I honestly just think a 5-mana 4/4 lifelink is probably better than a Pitiless Plunderer. But I guess Treasures work with Skullport Merchant and Kalain. And Havoc Jester. Herald of Anguish. This card is so weird. It's like a phenomenal like commander card, because there's so many like crazy 3-card combos and synergies you can do with it, but it's just not doing anything crazy here in a 1v1 format where you're just going to have a couple creatures on board at all times. I have no idea. Maybe we'll just try it out here, because again, it's not like Gravebreaker Lamia does anything. Cut that Lamia, and then we'll cut 2 of our non-creatures here. I guess Mask of Immolation is another creature. So we kind of have 14 creatures still. It still feels really low, a bit low for equipment. So I think we probably cut the Pick and the Pair of Goblins. Do have a couple cards that spit out tokens, though. Young Pyromancer spitting out 1/1s and Siege Gang Commander spitting out 1/1s does up the power of the charge them part of a Pair of Goblins. And a Pair of Goblins is spitting out 2 1/1s as well towards our sacrifice outlets, so maybe cut Fast Furious over that or Precipitous Drop over that. Again, it's such a small removal spell. We've got Igneous Inspiration, Welding Sparks, Unlicensed Disintegration, and Bone Shards, even without a Precipitous Drop. Sure, we'll cut Precipitous Drop. I think the Pick, that might change though, because Fast and Furious does not look very good in here. Maybe we'll want the Pick in over it. It just feels like the creature count's kind of awkward for Pick. Plus, it's going to be hard to get in, because most of our creatures are just on the ground. So we're not really consistently going to be breaking through and getting that treasure token from damaging our opponent with the Pick. Even if the treasure token would be somewhat valuable. I don't know, there's definitely some room to move things around. We can swap a Pitiless Plunderer for like a Gravebreaker Lamia. Swap a Fast and Furious for Precipitous Drop. Something like that. As things progress, I don't know. We'll see, but I think this is the deck that I will be running. We'll see how it does as we hop into the gameplay. Here we are now in game 1, and this hand seems very spicy. Got that Warlock class for turn 1 and 2. And then a great 3-4-5 curve here. If we can use this class to make sure we keep hitting the lands that we need to move on up the curve. Playing against green-white here. We do get a Horde Robber on turn 2. The treasure tokens would be pretty valuable, so I'm going to go for the Horde Robber here rather than leveling up the Warlock class for the card draw. Blue, white, and green from our opponent definitely can be a sort of flicker kind of deck in Bant there. I think we take Environmental Sciences. We've got powerful 5-mana cards and stuff here. And we can turn treasures into permanent mana off of Environmental Sciences. That's pretty cool. Captain Sisay from our opponent. I would love to kill that card, but I can't. Unless they block here. I guess I can if they block. So we should probably just attack in before we decide anything else. Nice, okay. That's a really important card to kill because it can tutor for whatever kind of legendary they need each turn. So we are going to Mask of Immolation it. So I guess we Mask of Immolation and Environmental Sciences this turn. We can do that and keep our treasure token by going Environmental Sciences first. Grab another red source because we've got a lot of red cards. Although we don't have double black yet, we do have double black cards in the deck. I'll grab another black source here. Drop Mask of Immolation. Finish off Captain Sisay. That was a really nice turn. So the Environmental Sciences that we picked up really late did really come in clutch there. 4-4 of Vigilance from our opponent now. I think that means that Horde Robber's time in the sunlight has ended here. We are probably going to drop Siege Gang Commander here. Maybe go for Falcon Wrath Noble next turn. So we are just draining our opponent for a ton of life as these goblins get sacrificed. Ondu Skyrunes onto the board, so they are not planning on wrathing us later. Send in with the Samurai. We go down to 16. Got an Evolution Sage on board to proliferate whenever they landfall, which is scary. Alright, so what are we doing now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana if we sack the treasure. 7 mana after we play land for turn. That's 4 mana for Noble. And so we still have 2 mana up to sack 1 Goblin to kill the Evolution Sage here. It seems pretty good to me. I think we just chump block with a Goblin and kill Evolution Sage next turn. Just kind of grind this game out with all of these death triggers. Cetizen Champion. That is frightening. Whenever they play an enchantment, that'll get a +1/+1 counter on it and draw them a card. Alright, they're just going to pass the turn here. We'll go ahead and kill the Evolution Sage, unless they have a response. They could have like Snakeskin Veil or something. Nope, Evolution Sage will die, so we get another Falcon Wrath Noble trigger. They're down to 15. Herald of Anguish. Ooh. Make our opponent discard a card during our end step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We just tap our treasure token rather than sack it. Won't have the mana up to sack any goblins, but that seems worth it. That's just a terrifying card. Might have the counter spell though. Here they do have a blue mana up. Looks like no counter spell. Get in with the Noble for 2. Momentary Blink. Flicker a card. Just let them draw a card off the champion. It's pretty good. To make them discard a card with the Herald, they discard. Steel Bane Hydra. A bunch of naturalizes in a can. Bunch of artifact or enchantment removal. Priest of Ancient Lore. They gain a life and draw a card. Got a lot going on in the sky though, and Herald of Anguish has the ability to sack the treasure to -2/-2 their stuff. They're just going to scoop them up here. They do not like our board state at all. So really nice game from Rakdos Sack as we head into round 2. Here we are in round 2 with what is most definitely a mulligan. We've got only red mana and we've got a 6 and 7 mana card in hand. We're going to have to mulligan this away. This is literally the same hand. We have Kalain, Skullport Merchant, and Herald of Anguish again, and no black source yet again. Brutal. Arena wants to be rude to us, so be it. There we go. The Mole to 5 gives us a keepable hand. I think we have to get rid of Siege Gang Commander and just go with all these 1 and 2 mana cards that are castable here. So this is a rough one. We're going to have to draw really well this game to make up for the pretty bad start off the mulligans. Turn 1 our Fireblade Charger. Not going to be spending the mana on Warlock class turn 2. Since we have Pyromancer and Oni Cult Anvil to cast first instead. But we're also not going to block and trade for Initiate when it'll just pop out a Zombie Army 1/1. Got a Magda coming up here. We're not going to have anything to sacrifice for Oni Cult Anvil for a little while, so it's Young Pyromancer or Magda. Don't have any instants or sorceries for Pyromancer. I think I go Magda here. We only have 2 lands in the whole hand. Treasure tokens are likely to be pretty valuable for us. Sanguine Brushstroke. Unfortunate. This is going to be the mirror match, except it looks like Rakdos was a little more open in their pod. They managed to get the Brushstroke, which is probably the strongest card for it. A 3-mana version of Blood Artist that comes with a blood token. Really good card for the strat. And we had to mulligan pretty hard here. There's another mana here. Although everything in hand is 2 or less, and we can Bone Shards, discarding this rather than sacrificing something. Really likely to need this mana in the future, though. But I would like to Bone Shards Blood Artist. I guess we can Bone Shard Slaughter Priest and kill Blood Artist with Fireblade Charger. And then play Thriving Bluff this turn. That seems probably like what we're supposed to do here. Definitely not killing Squee. A 1/1 first strike is really nice against our 2/1s. They're looking super weak. Oh, there's the Blood Aspirant from our opponent. They'll get a +1/+1 counter every time they sacrifice something. And for 2 mana, they can tap it and sacrifice something to do 1 damage. Again, very good against our 1 toughness stuff. Warlock class and draw a card here. If we get our Fast Furious, that could be pretty good. Actually here. Because they're going to start shredding our board. Mask of Immolation is kind of the only option. That is solid. That is solid. Because their stuff's all 1 toughness as well for now. But by the time we cast Mask of Immolation, Blood Aspirant's going to be a 2/2. It'll be out of reach. It is an issue. Alright, so Blood Aspirant will shoot down our Young Pyromancer, and thankfully for us, we've drawn into Igneous Inspiration so we can kill this Blood Aspirant. Even if they sacrifice Oni Cult Anvil in response, it'll still be a 3/3. And yeah, we're still low enough on mana for Environmental Sciences to be quite good. Alright. Things don't look horrific for us here, actually, surprisingly enough. Bray's Apprentice with Oni Cult Anvil, though, is an absurd combo. They can draw an extra card every turn now. Alright, now things do look pretty bad, unless we can blow up Bray's Apprentice. So Bray's Apprentice can tap and sacrifice this Thopter to exile the top card of their library and be able to cast it throughout their turn, throughout the end of their next turn, and then when it gets sacrificed, that triggers Oni Cold Anvil, which gives them another 1/1 construct, so they can just keep looping the constructs. Our opponents essentially got a Phyrexian Arena out, now they're drawing 2 cards per turn. Let's get some mana here, get closer to this Herald of Anguish, I guess. If we Mask of Immolation here, we can force them to sacrifice something they don't want to sack, unless they draw well. Because we can kill the 1/1 flyer, and then the only way that they start doing the loop with Oni Cold Anvil is by sacrificing the Anvil or the Apprentice. Because Oni Cold Anvil only gives them the construct during their turn, so I think that's the plan. Mask of Immolation, shoot that Thopter, force them to draw another expendable artifact if they want to have both of these cards on the board in conjunction. Otherwise, they'll have to sacrifice one of the 2. Now, they can respond to us killing this Thopter by sacrificing it to drain us for life, but that's not that big of a deal. We're much more worried about the card advantage engine they can get during their turn. Alright, so fingers crossed, no more artifacts here. No treasure tokens or anything. They are going to sacrifice Brea's Apprentice to itself, so they only get that 1 card draw off of it. Unless they can recur it from the graveyard. Falconwrath Celebrants is the play. Wait, they had Celebrants in hand and they chose to pop Apprentice? That's a little weird. I probably would have just dropped Celebrants and popped a Blood, but I am super okay with it. Still pretty far from Herald of Anguish. We've got 5 mana towards it because we've got 1 artifact. Have a second artifact with Oni Cold Anvil. Skullport Merchant also gives us a second artifact. And a 1/4 to block with, but that's not going to block Celebrants well. Just hold on to a pair of Goblins here, maybe. Kind of want to draw a card off Warlock class. Oh, wait, we already did. So we can't just go Oni Cold Anvil, draw off Warlock class. Yeah, I guess I'll just Skullport Merchant here. Is this a dwarf? It's a dwarf citizen. It's getting an extra power from Magda, that's cool. I guess I can use the treasure token to Anvil as well, that's probably worth it. And then because Mask of Immolation is going to keep costing us mana to move it around, I don't think it's that valuable on this board state. There's nothing with 1 toughness or less we really want to spend multiple mana into shooting. Rather start getting the construct combo to start going. Start looping our construct. So we are 1 mana away from Herald of Anguish. We have 4 lands, 2 artifacts. Falconwrath Celebrants is coming in. They only kill 1 of our creatures if we do this double block. Skullport Merchant's definitely the more valuable creature, so it's probably getting killed here. And that is what happens. So Oni Cold Anvil can start turning blood tokens into 1/1s if they want. But they can do that even if they just crack the blood. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, well, which of the Moors with an Oni Cold Anvil down is really sick? Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That is like our one life gain synergy that we might have had if we drafted a Witch of the Moors. That is pretty disgusting, those two together. Alright, well, do everything we can here. Here's our Herald of Anguish. Fingers crossed. It does some work. We probably have to sacrifice Magda to the Witch of the Moors here. Which means we just take all the damage of everything they attack with this turn. Because if we sack our 1/1 to Witch of the Moors, we don't have an artifact out to use with Herald of Anguish anymore. And if we sacrifice this 1/1 to... Oh no, they discarded Archfiend of Sorrows. Well, GG then. It's a very good card to have in hand when your opponent forces you to discard. They can unearth it, give our whole field -2/-2. Just a Wrath effect in a can. Wow, yeah, that is the nail in the coffin. If it weren't for that, my hopes and dreams were by leveraging Herald of Anguish's ability to sacrifice my 1/1 construct for -2/-2, I'd have a shot at like whittling down the board, but I've got a shot at nothing now. We weren't likely to win either way because we only had that one construct. We could only do -2/-2. That was a pretty brutal game there. The mirror match, opponent had the better opener for sure, really rough mulligan for us. And I think they also had the better deck there. I didn't even think of Witch of the Moors plus Oni Colt Anvil, but that certainly was disgusting. Here we are, round 3. We are on the draw. I like this hand. We don't have a lot going on in their early game, but we have some interaction to make sure they don't just completely combo off on us, and we have our best finisher, the Herald of Anguish, for late in the game here. Merfolk Lure from our opponent. It's a very threatening card in this format because there are a lot of ways to get some good value off of drawing multiple cards per turn or discarding cards. So I'm just going to Bone Shards that. Problem is I don't know what I'm sacrificing here, what I'm discarding. I guess we could go for a land because we can have Igneous Inspiration, make sure to hit an Environmental Sciences for us. I think that's probably the plan here. Yeah, let's have Igneous Inspiration pick up Environmental Sciences. Hopefully they play a 3 toughness or less creature, so we can just go ahead and Igneous Inspiration this turn just to get that Sciences. It'll feel a little rough to just shoot them for 3 and pick up Environmental Sciences, but we can in a pinch. Alright, that is perfect. That is definitely worth shooting down. Gonna keep venturing into the dungeon every time it attacks, so we can just stop all that value here. Shoot Nadar into the grave. So they are heading into the Lost Mine of Phandelver and scrying one. Alright, so Igneous Inspiration this turn. Next turn we're probably playing Forgotten Cave tapped and Environmental Sciences, so that then on turn 5 we have our untapped 5th mana and slam down our Havoc Jester. Yep, seems pretty good here. We could Skullport Merchant, but I am going to Environmental Sciences. Guarantee the turn 5 Havoc Jester, make the Herald of Anguish more likely as well. So opponent cycling the Lonely Sandbar. Alright. Just even out our mana here with another red source. Could grab another black source because that would let us sacrifice 4 things to Herald of Anguish, but I don't expect we're going to have a turn later this game where we have 4 artifacts to sacrifice to the Herald. So now we have an Oni Colt Anvil, so we could play Skullport Merchant and Oni Colt Anvil, turn the treasure into a construct and start looping that. Play Havoc Jester later. You know, I could even do, this is going to be really spicy. I'm going to do this just because it looks cool. Wait, no. It's not as spicy as I thought it would be. We could have a spicy play next turn where we turn a treasure token into a construct and Fellstinger it. We can't do that this turn. We'd need these both out and the mana for Fellstinger. So Merchant Anvil or Jester. Let's just play our big Jester here while they're tapped out. Then next turn, if we have Skullport Merchant and Oni Cult Anvil on the board, we can sacrifice 2 permanents. We play the Merchant, play the Anvil, then we sacrifice the treasure token just for a mana, which will spit out a 1/1. And then we can sack the 1/1. That would be 2 sacrifice triggers, that'd be 2 damage. And I think I'll go for that here. We get to kill the Guidebot if it all resolves. Let's see. Here's Skullport Merchant. Skullport Merchant does not resolve, so that is not going to happen. But we'll use the rest of our mana for the Oni Cult Anvil then. And just slam in for 5. Oni Cult Anvil, even if it isn't going to be getting us any constructs right now, will still help tap for Herald of Anguish. Still help improvise that onto the board. Your opponent is on blue, black, red, and white. And Vona, Butcher of Magan is the play. It's our old friend Megan, who is not our friend. It's a very rude card. They can spend 7 life to destroy any non-land permanent. And it's a 4/4 Vigilant Lifelinker, so it keeps giving them the life they need to keep using that ability again in the future. Was an explosive card in the Rivals of Ixalan, or just in Ixalan in general. So we do have the mana for Herald of Anguish, but I'd have to tap everything for that. I could sacrifice... I could sacrifice the Oni Cult Anvil to itself to get a construct, then sack the construct to the Fellstinger. We kill Tawashi Guidebot with that. It's rough to lose Anvil, but we draw 2 cards in the process. We don't just put one big beacon for Vona to kill on the board by doing that. We could also play Siege Gang Commander, but then Vona kills the Siege Gang Commander. We don't have any way to sack the... Well, we don't have a consistent way to sack all the goblins without the commander itself. I think that I want to sack the Anvil to itself and just cast a Fellstinger here. Get at least the value of killing Guidebot. And not have, like, our whole turn spent on something that's just going to get killed. Now they probably have to use Vona to kill Havoc Jester. Anyway, there's no way to sack the Fireblade Charger right now. We just cast it though. Have it at the ready. Send in Havoc Jester. Puts them to 9. So that using Vona is going to be really painful for them, because if they attack in, we have a Death Toucher to block with. And if they don't attack in, they don't gain any life, so they just spend 7 and go to 2 life. There's Baron Tolarian Archmage, though, to bounce our Fellstinger. That does make sure we can't Death Touch Vona, but at the same time, that means we get to sacrifice a card this turn, which is going to be really nice. Draw another 2 cards. That being said, Havoc Jester will no longer be on board. I can pretty much guarantee that. Luckily, they have to pay the 7 during their turn. They can't use this removal out of nowhere during our turn. Alright, so they're going to go down to 6. I might just Furious here, honestly. If they don't have the counterspell, that blows up every creature on the board. Because Fireblade Charger dies and does 1 extra damage to Vona. Let's see. If they do have the counterspell, whatever our plan this turn was is going to get nullified regardless. Alright. No trick, please. Colossal Sky Turtle, put it back in their hand. Okay, that's not bad. It's not that bad. Let's play this land so we can hardcast Herald. And we have the mana to play Siege Gang Commander and sack 1 goblin. But that's not that bad because now it's not like it has haste or anything. So we can deal with them just being at 6 life for now. So, next time Vona attacks, Vona goes up to put them at 10 life. If we just have a 5/5 on the board, they have to attack in to go to enough life to use Vona to kill the Herald. So they have to have removal in their hand to kill this Herald. Because otherwise, like, they have to be at 7 or more to use Vona. And they're not going to be at 7 until they attack, and by the time they attack, we just block. Seems good to me. Even if they do have removal in their hand, this is a 2-for-1, because we make them discard a card right now, and then they're going to have to spend the removal spell from hand as well. And then we're just 1 mana away now from Siege Gang Commander being able to take down Vona. If we have 9 mana, we can spend 5 on Siege Gang Commander and 4 mana to sack 2 goblins. There's an Ominous Sphinx that will not kill the Herald of Anguish. So I think we're good. Yeah, they just don't have the life for Vona. We attack in, force the block with Ominous Sphinx. I guess we don't need to attack in here. We can just play Siege Gang. But we probably should attack in. Because if they don't block, they die. If they do block, we kill Ominous Sphinx, and then Siege Gang Commander's still enough power to block Vona. Alright, cool. They don't block, so Siege Gang Commander will just be lethal. And there's the concession. That's going to be 2 and 1 for Rakdos Sack. Round 4 now with the Rakdos deck. Loving this turn 2 Magda. Not on the play, though. On the draw again. Which is unfortunate. Definitely prefer on the play with cards like Magda and Horde Robber. But still a pretty spicy hand, nonetheless. Opponent is on blue, green, and red, and there's a young Pyromancer. We are going to shoot that thing dead before they play any instants or sorceries and just pop off with that. Very nice work from the Mask of Immolation. There's a Tireless Provisioner from our opponent. Time to get some good work done by our Igneous Inspiration. Not going to let them just sit there and get a bunch of food and treasure. Opponent just playing some good, like, must-be-dealt-with threats. Like Environmental Sciences here, we do have the 7-drop Herald of Anguish in this deck. Use more mana for a while. Oh my god, our opponent's deck is disgusting. 3, like, must-kill threats in a row. Now Kasmina, that'll spit out a really big Fractal token and keep scrying. So what do we do here? Probably just double up on our cards, play Magda and Horde Robber, try to go a bit wide here. Yeah, I think that's the play. Kasmina's an issue. Not one we've got an efficient answer for. Scry 2 again. She's going to go to 6 loyalty here. Which is huge. Unholy Heat going to finish off our Magda. Go to our turn. Bone Shards only kills... Ooh, it does kill Planeswalkers. Well, that is a sick draw. That is a sick draw. We probably discard a land here. Do we even discard Environmental Sciences? If I Bone Shards, I'll have 3 mana up otherwise. I could have the 4 mana for Plunderer, so I can cast Plunderer... Bone Shards, discard Environmental Sciences. That seems fine. I don't think this is a matchup where I care too much about my life total. Because they seem to be playing the kind of cards that, like, if they're going to win big. Just like overwhelm us. Go Plunderer, so hopefully if they have a counterspell that's drawn out by this, so that Bone Shard sneaks through. And now we Bone Shards. They didn't counter Plunderer. Hopefully that means, fingers crossed, no counter for Bone Shards. No counter for Bone Shards. Kasmina has been dealt with. They're down to 2 cards in hand here. It is my end step now, so if they have some kind of instant, they'll drop it. Looks like not something they want to cast right now. Seize the spoils during their turn, discard a card, draw 2, discarding Strike It Rich, which they can cast from the grave to get another treasure token. I really want to draw some cards here, so I honestly think I'm just sacrificing Pitiless Plunderer to Fellstinger. It just doesn't feel like it does that much in comparison to Horde Robber. Because the board's empty here. Horde Robber's definitely going to keep getting us treasures, whereas Pitiless Plunderer just like might. Oh, Skullport Merchant. Oh my god. Skullport Merchant with a Horde Robber on board getting treasures is sick. It is disgusting. So here's Skullport Merchant. We have 3 treasures to sacrifice to draw 3 cards. That feels really nice. First day of class from our opponent, just a 2-mana instant to learn a lesson. Search up Teachings of the Archaics, which isn't going to draw them any cards yet. They'll need to dump their hand out for that. I think we'd let them kill Fellstinger, because we could draw 1 card off of it right now by sacking both treasures, but draw 2 cards off of those 2 treasures at a later time instead. Alright, Teachings of the Archaics, they will draw 2. Since we do have 1 card in hand. Alright, we've got a pair of goblins, which is good with the merchant, but let's just go ahead and start sacking these treasures before we decide what we want to do for the turn. Another land. Another land. I think we're just jamming in with everybody. Hold up the pair of goblins, but probably sacrifice another treasure during their end step. Excuse me, my belly's getting angry at me since I have not eaten yet today. I don't know if you could hear it. Retriever Phoenix, another learn spell. Lots of learning from our opponent. Go for Environmental Sciences here. Gain a couple life, get a land. But they are going to pass the turn, so they've got some kind of 4-mana instant here they don't want to tap 2 out for. They've got 2 treasure tokens too, so it could be a big instant. Could be an absolutely massive instant. Ooh, Herald of Anguish. I'm going to play around like a Spell Swindle or whatever, the 5-mana counterspell that makes a bunch of treasure. I'm going to go for Welding Sparks first. See if this resolves. It does resolve, interesting. Okay, we can tap everything out for Herald of Anguish, tap the artifacts here. But let's do that main phase 2 again. They're holding up some kind of instant here. They didn't just jam out Environmental Sciences. I feel like they'd probably counter our way to kill the Phoenix, because if we kill the Phoenix, we get in with Horde Robber, get a treasure token, which means another card draw with Merchant. So I think they probably don't have a counterspell here for Herald of Anguish. But maybe it's removal. Okay, it's Chemist's Insight to draw 2 cards. Nice. Herald of Anguish popping off here, making them discard a card. They will discard the Environmental Sciences. Behold the Unspeakable. So no damage off of Horde Robber this turn, sadly. I guess I could cast the pair of goblins to get the power back up. Which is kind of funny. Blood Fountain's pretty powerful here. We have good cards in our grave already. Just gonna get aggro. Just gonna buff our power back up. Get another treasure token by doing this as well. Now we drop Blood Fountain, and we can use it to bring back 2 creatures during their end step, or we can just draw a couple cards off our treasures during their end step. We've just got some options now. And this way we even have the mana up to sacrifice the blood tokens and treasure tokens and all that for just -2/-2 if they play any good blockers. Feels like a pretty great position here. And now even if they blow up the Herald of Anguish, if they don't exile it, we can just pick it back up with Blood Fountain, put it back in our hand to recast next turn. I like this a lot. Gnarled Professor, big old 5/4, that'll learn a lesson. Choose to retrieve the Retriever Phoenix with it. And 1,000-Year Storm with only 1 mana up, but if that 1 mana casts like a lightning bolt, they are storming off here. They're going to attack with Retriever Phoenix. I think we take the 2. This doesn't do anything when it hits us, does it? No, it does not. So we use Herald of Anguish to kill Gnarled Professor, and then we just have lethal on board. Alright, they scoop them up, because that is, again, going to be lethal after we kill their Professor. So 3-1 now for this Rakdos sack deck. Only need 1 more victory to be above the curve for how we've done on Tinkerer's drafts so far. Alright, opponent is on the play again. Pretty cool with this hand. Warlock class, Skullport Merchant, we kind of just sit here for a bit. 1 nice cheap removal spell. Dig for some cards off Warlock class. Maybe Skullport Merchant draws us some cards too, especially with Pitiless Plunderer. Temple of Epiphany, turn 1 from our opponent. They're on blue-red, and they're going to scry 1 to start it off. Here's a Blood Crypt into Warlock class. Pass the turn. Grixis from our opponent, blue, black, and red. Go ahead and draw our Warlock class card. Land, land, and land. I think I'd enjoy the swamp here because you've got 2 red sources. Mountain and Forgotten Cave. Land's definitely not bad here. Makes us get to our 4 mana. Alright. I'm going to just drop Skullport Merchant this turn or just play our tapped land and chill. I like to drop the Merchant. Next turn, if they play anything, we're probably Welding Sparksing it or Igneous Inspirationing it, so we can play the tapped land next turn if we do play one of those 3-drops. 4 mana now from our opponent with their Grixis deck. They're just going to go ahead and exile our Skullport Merchant. Fair enough. Draw Magda. Sure. Cast Magda. And pass the turn. Kind of a long one here. Pretty slow start from both of us. 5 mana for our opponent now. Goshintai of Hidden Cruelty is disgusting. Free 2-for-1 here. Ooh, Blood Fountain's a 2-for-1 though. That's really nice. It's Igneous Inspiration to Goshintai. Turn this treasure token into just a permanent land. Making the most of our mana here. And get our Blood Fountain. Reckoner Bankbuster from our opponent. That's going to draw them 3 cards throughout this game. With those 3 charge counters. Then once it's out of charge counters, it can sit there and spit 1/1s onto the board. I guess they only get that the one time. They get 1/1/1 and treasure token. And then it just gets crewed as a regular vehicle. We are not doing much here, are we? Only one creature in our grave because they exiled the Skullport Merchant, so Blood Fountain isn't even really worth it right now. Guess we're playing Plunderer and passing. Bankbuster's certainly going to do its value thing. Our opponent is not under any pressure. The Royal Scion's terrifying. Very powerful Planeswalker. Starts with 5 loyalty, +1s to draw a card, discard a card, putting it at 6 loyalty. Which is just insane for a 3-drop. The 3 weird sisters are here. Definitely going to blow them up with Welding Sparks. But they will draw them an extra card here, so another 2 for 1. Opponent is on just mono 2 for 1s here. Well, we've got the mana for Dreadhound to put a big scary monster onto the board, but I think we have to kill the 3 weird sisters. We can do that with Bone Shards or Welding Sparks. Bone Shards can kill the Planeswalker, though, which is nice. Maybe we do that. Sacrifice Pitiless Plunderer to kill the Royal Scions, because it's just a 1/4. It's actually probably weaker than our cards in hand. So let's just deal with everything here. Welding Sparks the sisters. We'll do this post-combat, I guess. We can hit them for 1 first. Blow up the Royal Scions.
It is a valid strategy.
Pass the turn. Didn't realize the Pitiless Plunderers. I forgot, it's only gives us a treasure on other creatures, so it doesn't give you a treasure when you sacrifice it to itself. It's kind of unfortunate. It's not like a Blood Artist where it's on any creature. Archfiend of Ifnir, that's terrifying. And we're out of removal. Guess I'm just going to filter this fast and furious. Because we need an answer really quickly now. Falcon Wrath Noble is not exactly an answer. So thanks to sacking Plunderer, now we can get 2 cards off of Blood Fountain, but they're a 2/1 and a 1/4. The 2/1's just going to die to Archfiend as soon as they discard 1 card. It's probably not worth it. I think we just Dreadhound and hope to get some wild return on investment off this card. Just hit 3 creatures, please. Oh, we hit 2 of them. All right. It's a little bit of damage there. Maybe level up Warlock class next turn, hit them for 6, and then hit them for another 6 off the level 3. If we draw any expendable little tokens and stuff, like Siege Gang Commander or something like that, we've got a shot. Because whenever the tokens are dying, Dreadhound's doing a damage to our opponent. And obviously the Siege Gang Commander can throw the tokens for 2 damage apiece. Looks pretty bad for us. Like, our opponent's got a lot of 2-for-1s, a lot of card draw, Bankbuster and stuff. They have 4 cards in hand here. We just have 1, and they have the better board state with the flyer that can mitigate our life, or mitigate our field. But it's not completely over. We could get pretty lucky here. Drawn to some of our burn kind of sack outlets. That is the one thing we've got going for us here. We've got some amount of burn done to our opponent. Unfortunately, Soul Guide Lantern is going to exile the Herald of Anguish before we can Blood Fountain it back, but we can still Blood Fountain back the Havoc Jester that we milled for extra damage. And there's the Siege Gang Commander I was talking about. It's pretty dang big. Where any creature dies, so Siege Gang Commander, have our Goblin trade into their 2/2. Opponent loses 2 life. If we untap with Siege Gang Commander still on board, we can kill Archfiend of Ifnir. The problem is all it takes is them cycling or discarding 1 card to kill all of our Goblins. But then our other option is to Falconwrath Noble and do nothing else, because we don't even have the 4 for Blood Fountain if we do that. I think we have to go for it with Siege Gang Commander. Send in the Dreadhound. Maybe they'll double block and we'll kill this Archfiend. I'm pretty cool with that. But if not, we still get in for 1 damage from Dreadhound's ability. At least. And kill one of their little blockers. Alright, pass turn. It's 1 more damage off Warlock class since a creature died. We're making moves here. Oh yeah, Fable of the Mirror Breaker just automatically discards the cards. That's true. I forgot about that one. Dreadhound's going to do a lot of damage to our opponent here, actually. Maybe I should have shot them in the face. I guess if I shot them in the face, I would have done 1 more damage. Because by shooting their creature, I still do a damage when their creature dies. So they would have been at 6 instead of 7. So we'll do the math later. It might have mattered, depending on how low we can hit them this game. Oh, but they get to return Henrika Domrathi to hand because they discarded a card that lets them return a creature, the Edgar's Awakening. So by returning Henrika Domrathi to hand, they have a lifelinker out. We're going to Lacerate Flesh on the Dreadhound instead, though. Play it safe, rather than gain some life this turn. Nope. They've got land for turn, so they gain life as well. Okay. That was pretty huge. That was a really big turn for our opponent. I think we still go for the Siege Gang Commander there. I didn't realize Fable of the Mirror Breaker was about to let them discard cards, but even with how things turned out, with the fact that it did let them do that, I think that was still our best bet, is maybe we can just find lethal from a bunch of death triggers. They are still at 5 here. They didn't flip Henrika for the life gain yet. But we can't really pick up a haste creature with Blood Fountain. Young Pyro's not going to do anything. Falconwrath Noble's not going to do anything. I guess we drain them for a tiny bit of life here. If I Blood Fountain, I only have 3 mana up. So yeah, I mean, Falconwrath Noble's the best play. And if we're going for Falconwrath Noble anyway, we go for Young Pyro as well, so we have another creature on the board to die to drain them for some life. If they misplay really hard, we still have a chance. But all they really have to do here to make sure we have no shot is just flip Henrika Domnathi. But if they just kill our creatures and pass to our turn, we could draw some burn, just shoot them for 3. Alright. Flip Henrika Domnathi. I think that pretty much seals this one. I don't think they have enough mana to kill us if they buff a lot. We got 4 blacks, they can do it twice. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, don't have lethal, so we won't block. Maybe an attack with a noble into sacrificing a bunch of stuff can potentially get there. We'll find out. If Noble is still on the board and they don't have a flyer and we attack both, we have the slimmest chance in the world that we get there off of the Warlock class's level 3. Because Warlock class's level 3 makes our opponent lose as much life as they lost during their end step. Do we still have a chance? I don't think so. No, because Herald of Anguish can immediately kill Noble. So we don't get to untap with Noble on the board. If we got to untap with Noble on the board, still a minor chance. But yeah, that definitely does it. And land is the draw. We could pick up Noble with Blood Fountain, and they just kill it again, because they have another artifact with Herald of Anguish. We can pick up whatever we want that costs 4 or less and cast it, which is just Noble or Plunderer, none of which save us from dying in the sky next turn, because they can just kill them. Yep, that's gonna be game 3 and 2 it is. Alright, here we are in round 6 with just mono removal. Just all removal in this hand. I mean, I'll keep it. We've got both our colors, and I like these removal spells. Opponent starts with turn 1 Isamaru. I don't really want to bone shards because there's nothing I want to discard right now, and we can play a 1/3 to block a 2/2. So we're down to 18. And Ancestral Blade. Alright, this is a quick start from our opponent. I am glad I have a hand that's just full of removal. It's a 1 mana 2/2 into a 2 mana 2/2 that will leave behind an equipment. Do they have a combat trick 2 to kill Horde Robber? Nope, just jam it in for 2. Then a Silver Smoke Ghoul is the play. Wow, this is gonna be a painful one. Kill the 2/2 and learn a lesson off Igneous Inspiration, so we have something to discard to Bone Shards. Probably the idea. Environmental Sciences is more likely to be useful here because it's cheaper and it picks up the land to help get to Dreadhound. And then again, if we just really need to discard a card to Bone Shards, we can just discard Environmental Sciences. Bunch of 1 toughness stuff. Mask of Immolation be a sweet draw, as would Fast and Furious. Ooh. Now I'm very interested in just Environmental Sciencing here and just sitting and waiting on Fast and Furious. Get a big Wrath effect here. Two cards in hand. I really hope they spend some mana to dump another creature down. Alright, well, they boasted. Ooh, they did drop a Doomed Traveler. That one does spit a flyer out when it dies, but still nice to kill the front half of the card. So we're at 15. They've got 2 cards in hand and a 2/2 Flying Spirit beating us down. And now they just have the 1 card in hand. Might get there here. Just drop a giant Dreadhound and start jamming in. Can definitely outrace them on board. Ooh, there goes our Siege Gang Commander. And our Blood Fountain. We milled the Blood Fountain. Last card in hand was removal. So Dreadhound, not going to be attacking in, but it is still on the board for its ability. So Welding Sparks their flyer and deal a damage with Dreadhound. And then we'll play Skullport Merchant. Pass the turn. I think I'd like to cycle this Baron more. They're going to exile Dreadhound to get a blood token, to discard a card and draw a card. Alright, well, I'm definitely cycling Forgotten Cave first. Falconwrath Noble's the play. Pretty good play. Let's drop that down. We could just cycle Baron Moor during their turn. I don't think there's anything I could draw off Baron Moor that I would want to immediately play, because any land I hit, I'd want to hold for Bone Shards. Cleric class and Kindly Ancestor and SRAM. Pretty big turn. Cycle Baron Moor. Just a land. Herald of Anguish. That is big and spicy. Very big and spicy. Is it worth jamming out? I think it is worth just jamming that out. Well, great draw to follow up SRAM. Plate armor it is, so they draw a card off that, but just a land after that draw. Kindly Ancestor does get suited up with that plate armor they just drew, though, which is pretty disgusting. They're going to gain 6 life here. Seems good. Go up to 18. We are going to have to kill the heck out of their lifelinker. Because it brings back Silver Smoke Ghoul as well. Wow. Yeah, I underestimated how good that was as a draw. And I even said it was a really good draw. Actually, just a completely filthy draw. Alright, kill that Kindly Ancestor. Kill that SRAM so they don't draw any cards off of recasting their lifelink. And then Fireblade Charger will be my chump blocker for their giant lifelinking Silver Smoke Ghoul that they will attack us with next turn. And then down to 12, we hit for 7. Kind of just got a Bone Shards. The Silver Smoke Ghoul, but they can get a creature back with Cleric class off of level 3, but it won't have haste, at least. Alright, they can sack that to draw the card here. In response. Alright. Oh yeah, we just make them discard whatever they drew from Herald of Anguish's end step ability. Level up the Cleric class. If they have a land here, they play a land, level it up again. But they do not have a land, so just 7 to the face is going to end that one. This is our first 4-win run in the new Tinkerer's Cube. I will absolutely take it. We're 4-2. Let's just keep improving from this draft forward, shall we? Or from last draft forward, our 3-3 green-black Death Touch deck was our first 3-win run. So let's just go. Yesterday was a 3-win run. Today's going to be a 4-win run. Tomorrow we'll do a 5-win. That way, by the time Streets of New Capenna comes out, we'll have at least one 7-win Tinkerer's Cube run. Here we are now in round 7 on the play. Turn 2 Pyromancer with no instants or sorceries, but it still looks very scary. A bunch of really good cards in this hand. We really need to hit 1 land, but if we hit that 1 land, Fellstinger and Skullport Merchant can do a lot of work for us. Skullport giving us a treasure token, Fellstinger giving us a couple more cards. Trying to hit more lands. I'm going to keep this, but there is a definite risk. Oni Colt Anvil is the draw. I actually prefer playing that to Young Pyromancer here, because it doesn't die to as much cheap removal. And it's better if we can turn 3 the Merchant. It's gonna work really well with the treasure token from the Merchant. Alright, we can't turn through the Merchant, so Young Pyro it is here. Opening ourselves up to that cheap removal. Playing against black-white. Turn 3 Grim Dancer. I would like to blow that up with a Bone Shards. And now I can really do that. Because I can go Skullport Merchant, sacrifice a treasure for a black, create a construct with the anvil, sacrifice the construct from the anvil to cast Bone Shards, giving me a 1/1 from Young Pyro. We won't have an artifact out anymore for Onicult Anvil to loop with, but it'll still be strong. I think it's worth it. Now Fellstinger can sacrifice this 1/1 next turn. Draw us the cards we need to hopefully make it to a land drop. Get towards Falconwrath Noble and Siege Gang Commander. Fourth land from our opponent. They've got 4 mana up here. They could have quadruple black, because 3 swamps and a white-black dual land. They are going to go ahead and soul transfer, exile the Skullport Merchant. I'm pretty fine with that. We'll head to our turn. Alright, well, Fellstinger's going to have to put in some work for us. Please draw the land. I guess I should have attacked first. Lost out on 1 point of damage here. We do hit the land, and I'm going to play a tapped land this turn. This way, if we want to cast Siege Gang Commander next turn, we can. Precipitous Drop's going to kill our Fellstinger. And they will scry 1. As much as I'd love to play Noble before Siege Gang Commander, I think it behooves us to use the most of our mana and get the Siege Gang Commander out first. Because also, if they don't have like a board wipe, if they just have more single targeted removal, charging them with a pair of goblins is going to be pretty devastating. Could be a lot of damage with a lot of creatures on board. Callous Blood Mage is the play. Draw them a card or get them a pest token here. They're going to draw a card, take a damage. 2 mana up here. So if they don't have instant speed removal, we attack with everybody. They block our 2/1, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If they don't have instant speed removal, the pair of goblins is just lethal. So we're going to go for it. Make them have a 2 mana instant speed removal spell, something that this cube does not have a lot of. And if they block a goblin, we can even shoot them with whatever goblin they block. Make it well over lethal. So we will. Just to be super safe, this should be well over lethal. And it is. They're going to go to -2. We can even shoot for 1 more damage with the anvil, sacrificing itself. So there we go, 5 and 2, which means that we are getting all of our gold back out of this event. 4,000 gold to play. We get 4,000 gold back for a 5-win run, I believe. We certainly do. 4,000 gold and 3 cards. Super happy with this run. We'll see if we can't keep it up as we head into round 8. All right, definite keeper here. Turn 1 Warlock class to draw a card turn 2 with. We've got our big game enders like Havoc, Jester, and Herald of Anguish. See what Warlock class can draw us for the early game, though. Uh-oh, looks like maybe another mirror match. Turn 1 Grim Initiate from our opponent. I think we need this land pretty badly. Unfortunately. Goodbye Bone Shards and Pair of Goblins. We're trying to make it to 7 mana this game. If our opponent has a pretty great aggressive start, which it looks like they do, then they might just finish us off before we can do too much. But Igneous Inspiration was a great draw here, because that lets us shoot down the Celebrant and gain a couple life and get another land to really make sure we make it to our high mana cards. Nashi, Moonsage's Scion. Well, I really need a blocker for that, because otherwise they're going to start casting spells for free against me. So Pitiless Plunderer it is. If they don't have removal, we can block Nashi and make sure they aren't just dumping out our library against us. But if this card can connect, and they can cast cards off the top of either player's library, it's going to be a pretty quick just loss here, I think. Because that card is very explosive if it connects. So here it is. Oni Cult Anvil and Blood Curdle, so Oni Cult Anvil it is, which is bound to synergize well with their deck because it's a mirror match, so that's a really rough matchup for us. Plus it gains them life every time they use it, which gives them more life to use Nashi again. So they sack this blood token here, get a 1/1 drain us for a life. We do still have Fast and Furious in this deck, that's probably our biggest out. We can draw Fast and Furious, but we might just be dead here. Can't cast anything in our hand right now. Can cycle this Baron more. See what's coming up. Alright. Should have cycled the Baron more before I did anything else, because we could have Environmental Scienced for a Swamp and played a Kalane to block with. Alright. One final draw step to hit the Fast and the Furious. To have a shot this game. Well, that is pretty brutal. They're drawing our removal out of our deck. Fellstinger is not the Fast and Furious. Whatever I cast here, even if it draws me cards, will mean I don't have the 5 mana up for Furious. That's just game no matter what I play. I guess the biggest chance of survival is Siege Gang Commander. That's 4 blockers on the ground. We take a damage in the sky, and Oni Cult Anvil shoots us for 1, so we go down to 5 here, but we can block everything else. See, I guess this does give us a shot still. Oops. Almost spilt my drink. They're going to charge their board at us, give everything +2/+0. Let's find out. Alright. Maybe they just have direct damage. We're down to 5. You just pass turn, okay. Play Havoc, Jester, but no way to sacrifice something to kill the Eye Twitch, so Eye Twitch is just going to hit us. I can't afford the life for Fellstinger, I think. So we're just going to play a Fellstinger and not exploit. I think I'd rather have more blockers here, so I'm going to go Kalane and Fellstinger, and I'm not going to exploit. Next turn we can play Havoc Jester, sacrifice this artifact to kill Eye Twitch. We need to draw into some kind of life gain, otherwise Oni Cult Anvil just kills us in 5 turns. Well, 4 turns, because they're going to hit us with Twitch here. 3 turns, because they hit us for Twitch and drain us for 1 this turn. Very bad at math, as you can tell. This is our own Oni Cult Anvil as well. And I think that's the only life gain we have in our deck, unfortunately. So here's our Havoc Jester. Sack a treasure for nothing. To kill Eye Twitch. Guess we can do that instant speed. Wait till their turn. So they can't cast this till their second main phase. Looks like it doesn't really matter too much. That instant or sorcery anyway. We need to jam in for a bit of damage to have any shot here. We're going to have to hit real hard to outrace them, so get in with Fell Stinger while we can. Twelve Hammer's immediate lethal. 3 damage to the face. Unfortunately. I think we actually had a mild chance there. If I'd waited on environmental sciences to where I cycle Barrenmore first, then I environmental sciences, I would have been able to cast Kalane earlier, and by casting Kalane earlier, we would have just had that treasure token at the ready for use with the devil like a turn sooner. So we would have killed the Eye Twitch a turn sooner. Give us a little bit more breathing room. And then we had a pretty big board state against them there. We could crack in for a good bit. So if we got like really lucky off of Dreadhound and milled like 3 creatures, I think there was somewhat of a chance that we killed them there. So had I played better and gotten that Kalane out earlier, I think we had a shot that game maybe. But yeah, 5-3 overall. Still cannot be unhappy with that. We get all of our gold right back out of the event and a few random cards. Definitely the best record I've had so far in this Tinkerer's Cube, but I am still going to keep playing these out till the launch of Streets of New Capenna. Do at least a few more of these. I definitely want to do another Zendikar Rising draft as well. Those are off of Arena on the 22nd, so I'll probably do a Zendikar Rising draft the 21st or the 20th or something. But yeah, there'll be plenty more Tinkerer's Cube drafts in the near future as well, followed by the launch of Streets of New Capenna, which is very close now. The pre-release in paper is on Friday. The arena launch is about a week after that. So very excited for that format. Always fun to hop into a new draft format, a brand new limited environment, and Streets of New Capenna looks like a pretty wild one. So once again, as always, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. If you want to see some more of these videos, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more. And yet again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.